we're going to talk about some reports for summer camps. So we'll show a new area with if you were on the last webinar, where we showed that we can now assign more than one merit badge at once. So we'll take a look at how that affects reporting. Some of you may have already used this feature and maybe had a merit badge university that used it, or even just an online merit badge class. So a little bit of housekeeping. So we're going to try and keep this meeting to 45 minutes or less. Definitely submit your questions in the GoToMeeting question panel. I'll try and answer them as we go, but also at the end we will have a little bit of time for questions as well. And then we'll get this video posted to the training videos section pretty soon. So on today's agenda, definitely a lot less than some of our webinars, but we're going to review reports for summer camp and then have the Q&A on reporting. All right, so I'm logged into my test environment, and I'm going to come into event management and go to the programs tab, and I'm going to pick Summer Camp 2020. So on the last webinar, if you weren't able to attend or you haven't checked out the video, under our session events, we now have the ability to change or add multiple course completion requirements. So if we see here, before you could just select one course completion requirement, but now we have the ability to add more than one. So if I cancel out of here, when we go to check attendance or check off those completion requirements, if I click attendance and requirements, now I have the ability to check attendance for the days that the actual scout came. I can check on the different badges that I have assigned and check off those requirements. So now let's take a look at reports. So we'll start with one of the reports that I get the most questions about, or it seems to be one of the more commonly used reports. So if I click reports right here for week 1, and this may look a little different. This is a test environment, so there may be a few extra reports in here or a few less, so they might not show in the exact order we see here. But this all session events roster with completion requirements, this is one of the most commonly used ones for summer camp. So if we click on this and load, obviously I don't have near the data you have in terms of the available classes or the number of participants signed up for those classes. But if we look here for art and basketry, so this is the one we just took a look at that has 2 course completion requirements assigned. Here we can see what is checked off for each individual, and it is separated out between the 2 badges. So if there were more than 2, we'd see 3 or 4, however many you've selected. Also, another thing that was added, and it wasn't added at the same time, but also we have the ability to have the custom frequency where maybe a class isn't every day of the week at the same time. And you have the ability to say this is on 6-1, 6-2, and 6-4. We also now have the ability to check attendance for each day rather than before it was all or nothing. Now we have the ability to check attendance for each day, and that is visible on this report as well. And then this is separated out by the different session event. So since it was art and basketry, those are both here. And then as we go down, we just pretty much have one merit badge selected here. So this is one of the most commonly used ones I get questions about. So if you're not using it, definitely check that one out. Done here. Another report that is used pretty regularly is the course completion requirements export only. So if I click this, it's going to export this into Excel. And I'll pull this one up. So you can export the previous report into Excel as well, but here we essentially get a line per registrant per item that they have signed up for. So if we come down here to art and basketry, we will see those items across here. And again, this one will go for all of our classes as well. And it has a line per scout per class that they have signed up for. One thing about that one is you can't make any changes to that. So what you get, obviously if there was a bug or anything like that, definitely reach out to support, but there is no customization of that report. The next one I want to point out is the session completion award. So if you click on this button, this would just pull back a list for each scout that is registered for something and let you know. So here, for example, here's Joe, and we see completed art and partial on basketry. And we would see that for the rest of our scouts as well. So prior to summer camp, before we actually get into the reporting on what's been completed and items like that, we do have some roster reports here. So the first one is all session events roster. So this is good for the instructors. Essentially, it's going to be broken out by the merit badge class that's offered and list out the first and last name of who is attending, as well as their troop number, assuming you collect that troop information. So depending on whether you print this item or not, there are a couple options. You can print this to Excel or export it to Excel, but you can also set this to print as a PDF. So if you wanted to actually print this roster out. The next is all session events by group. So this might not be great for an instructor or anything like that, but this one lets you see based on the troop number what they have registered for. So here we have troop 508, and in this case it's just one scout, but we see that one scout schedule. So you could distribute this to any troop leaders if you feel necessary or feel that to be necessary. And then lastly, in terms of this right now, registrant schedule. So registrant schedule is going to be similar to the group. It's going to break out each individual scout with the items that they have signed up for. So what questions do you have so far? Does anyone have any questions on these reports? Waiting here. I do want to take 1 second. Let's see which. All right. So let me grab this user ID here. I'm just going to hop in and log in as this user real quick. So I'm logged in here as an end user, registered for summer camp. So when I log in, this is the first screen that I will see right here, and it'll show my upcoming payments, upcoming registrations, things like that. Um, but as a end user that's signed up for camp, what I can do is I can click View Details. And then I can click this reports option. So end users actually have the ability to run reports as well. So a troop leader could log into their account and pull up their unit schedule. So I know some people utilize this, but a lot of end users may not know this is available. So they do have the ability to log in and run some additional reports as well. So the unit schedule would just list out each individual and what merit badge classes they're taking. They also can download the class completion awards, which would show who has completed what. And then finally, this last one, unit schedule with page breaks. What this does is it gives them the ability to print this report, and then it separates it out by scout. So it would print a page per scout, and they could pass that out to whether that's a parent or to the actual scouts when they arrive at camp. So I did just get a question in about, in the event of no Wi-Fi access, is there an offline option to fill out the requirements completed daily at the merit badge session? So you can't access the actual data in Double Knot without Wi-Fi access. So one thing that you can do, if we go back to my reports, let's see here, we'll go to this one. If I look at week 1 here and I were to go to reports, in my experience, what most people do is they run this all session events roster with completion requirements. And so this is before camp. So none of this information would be filled in, where in my scenario, we do have checkboxes. But you can download this report and then print that out and have the whoever the counselor is, they could check off whether they attended or check off the requirements as they go. And then you would just need to backfill that information in if you wanted to print that out within Double Knot. So these are the reports. Yeah, so the next one, how do we print out a blue card type of completion or partial report? So we definitely don't have the exact blue card report, but I would say the session completion award is probably the closest that we can do here. It does list out whether it was completed by the scouter, whether it was completed, or any partial information there. Back to the first question about the offline, yet there's no way to import. So if you were to fill out that spreadsheet, you cannot import that back into Double Knot. That would be something that has to be manually filled out. So while these reports are specific to these programs and specifically the merit badge sign up process, we still do have some of those other reports as well, the view registration reports. So within view registrations, most likely you're collecting form information in the registration process. So using view registrations, we'll pull one of these up quickly here. So one thing to note that's different with view registration reports within programs versus a calendar activity is you're going to get a line per individual for everything they sign up for. So you'll get one for the week as well as any merit badge sessions they do sign up for. But we can chop this down as well. So if you're looking for specific information, whether it be allergy information or any other medical type information, you do have the ability to customize these reports and chop that down. One of the last reports here that I'll touch on is this conflicts report. So in the past, and you may be using it or you may not be. In the past, there was no way to really prevent a troop leader from signing up a scout for more than one class at the same time. Now, when you're setting up your programs, under the edit program piece here, there is the ability. So there is this check for scheduling conflicts. So you can have this check to automatically check for scheduling conflicts. So the system won't let anyone check out if they're signed up for more than one merit badge session at once. But if you do leave this manually, it'll always be good to go back in and run the conflicts report, and that would tell you if anyone is signed up for more than one merit badge class at once. All right. Are there any questions regarding any of the reports we looked at, or definitely if you can think of a report that you need that you don't currently have in Double Knot, it might be something we have to take offline with through support. But what questions do y'all have? All right, I'll just give a couple more minutes to see if anyone has any questions here. Okay, so I did just get one question, and it goes back to the unit schedule with page breaks that we saw um, under the end user account. So if we go to reports here, if we go to reports and I were to run, let's say the all sessions event roster. So we have the ability to do page breaks based on visual groups. So that's where this section is, the grouping out of different items. So if I were to edit this report, if we go to style here, so this one is set up that way. So there is a checkbox under the style tab. that says page break after visual groups for PDF. So this report is also going to page break. So that way it's already separated out. The roster is on each page. Each page is a separate roster that you could pass out as needed. Good question. So in the completion requirements for the partials, are the partials that are shown, are those the ones that are taken or not taken? So let's go look at one of our partials. So if I come under event management and we'll go to summer camp, week 1, and let's look here. So if I check my attendance, so Scouter Dan has just done 1 for basketry. Okay, 1 for basketry. So if I run that session completion report, so these here, these are going to be what they have completed. So if it's complete, it'll just list the name, but if it's partial, it'll list the name of the badge as well as the requirements that they have completed. All right, well, thank you all for joining today. If any questions do come up, do reach out to support@doublenot.com and we can either work through it on an email or set up a call to go through your reporting needs. Thank you very much, and y'all have a good rest of your day.